service over to Melinda and the Mom Squad, and look forward to what they have to share with us this morning.
Well, good morning. Good morning. I'm going to do without a microphone first, because we have a very special, many special things this morning, but one of those is Jan has, we didn't twist her arm. She volunteered with some encouragement to come and sing a song for us this morning. So we're going to start. Jan, if you'll go ahead and come forward and sing, we'll start with that.
Good morning, everyone. My throat's been bothering me this morning, so I'm just praying the Lord will help me through this song. I wrote this song about 2 years after our mother passed away, which was in 2009. So I wrote it about 2011. Cried the whole time I was writing it. So it is still hard for me to sing. And sometimes I get through it fine, and sometimes I don't. So I'm apologizing now in case I make a mess of it. It's called Mom, I Think About You. Mom, I remember times were hard. You always had to work, but your time with us was never marred. That you never shirked. And you never shook the time to cook and clean for your offspring. But what a voice when you made the choice to take the time to sing. Now I forge ahead, but I look behind to the grace of God and your nurturing kind. You're in my heart, you're on my mind, and Mom, I think about you all the time. We shared the housework and the chores, our beloved spaniel too. There wasn't much you could afford, but somehow you made do. And you always knew where your children were and what we were up to. To disobey could cause a stir from a mother such as you. There were spelling bees and talent shows, Saturday dances, financial woes, games we played and stories told. And Mom, I take you everywhere I go. We had tuna salad and iced tea in our treasured family swing. You were young and so were we. We'd laugh and talk and sing. Breathe deep from within your diaphragm. Project your voice and sing. You know a champion speller has to cram. Yes, you coached our everything. Now we reminisce as we look behind to dining out somewhere in time, to coffee clutches and ties that bind. And Mom, we think about you all the time. The holiday parties made you smile. You entertained with ease. Your family together for a while. You loved the festivities. Where your children grew, your grandkids too. You'll cherish life through each stage. So devoted, but we all knew you had turned another page. And we forge ahead, but we're amazed to find sometimes in life we can be so blind to a mother's heart and her love sublime. Oh, Mom, we think about you all the time. Well, the years flew by to our chagrin, and you wore the look of age. We heaved a sigh as grief set in. We still struggled through that stage. Now melancholy fills my soul in memories bittersweet. Are you still here? Somehow I know your love transcends to me. Oh, those spelling bees and talent shows, memories worth their weight in gold. The milestones all along life's road. Mama, I take you everywhere I go. And I forge ahead, still I lag behind. To recall that smile and those eyes that shine, where your voice still echoes in my mind. And Mama, I take you everywhere I go. Mama, I think about you, only God could outdo. It's hard living without you. And Mama, I think about you all the time. Mom, I think about you all the time. Thank you.
Jan, that was beautiful. I think she wants to sing more. Who would like Jan to come sing again? That was beautiful. Thank you, Jan, so much. And I just want to say, we're in a new place this year. Feels a little different up here, but this is really cool to see it from this perspective. I love how casual it is, and this is actually less intimidating when you stand up here and do it this way. So don't make faces at the people. We'll keep this really less intimidating. Emily did not follow along. But I do want to say what a blessing it is to be here another year. Moms, we made it through another year. Each of you has your own milestones. Each of you has your own victories. Maybe your moments that weren't so great, but you made it another year. Some of you are brand new moms back there. Miss Abigail is the newest mom in our congregation, and Esther wasn't even thought of yet to that standpoint. So how exciting that is. But we made it another year. So how exciting. And I just want to say ahead of time, thank you for each mother that has volunteered to come forward and speak this morning. I thank you for your dedication. I thank you for your efforts. I thank you for your kindness for doing this. It matters, and we appreciate it. And Jan, you have an amazing gift. That was beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate that. And with that, I'm going to ask Mrs. Abigail Russ to come forward.
Let's see how this goes. Okay, can you hear me? Does that work? Put it in my pocket. We'll see, I might have to bounce around a little bit. Always an adventure. July of 2021, we were first told we might not ever be parents. If you told me last year that this would not, in fact, be my first Mother's Day, I would not have believed you. Last year, I would have been pregnant for the first time, but not known it after 4 long years of no. 4 years of not knowing if I'd ever be able to tell Austin or our family that we were expecting. Not knowing, goodness, if I'd see the features of my favorite person mixed with mine. May of 2022, we were told that in fact we had a 1 in 3 million chance of ever having our own biological children. Not getting to hear a first heartbeat, not knowing if our children would only enter our home because of tragedy and abuse. Clearly. Would my heart only be destined to break over and over again as I poured out love on children who would always be my children, but I would not always be their parent? December of 2023, I had a dream, the most realistic dream I've ever had in my entire life. I dreamed I was holding a baby girl in the hospital with bright blue eyes and dark hair. I woke weeping because I knew in fact that we weren't pregnant, but I knew it was our daughter. May of 2024, our 1 in 3 million happened. But as I was looking at a positive pregnancy test, I knew I was miscarrying. And I knew that our foster babies were leaving soon. I didn't and don't believe God's heart was to withhold blessing, nor that he caused our infertility. But I believe we live in a broken world. And I believe he had more for me than the fulfillment of my heart's desire. Regardless of the situation, he wanted me to be refined, to be made more like him. I was in fact being made holy. Thanks. I know better. I'm a crier when it's not super emotional anyway. My offering was the pouring out just as Christ does for us over and over. My offering was the grieving our baby boy's situation as Christ grieves and walks with us. My oil on the altar were the tears that fell frequently. My turning to him over and over. So as my heart was broken open more, as I surrendered greater, a greater space for him was made. I did not do this perfectly, but I'm so thankful for the work in the valley. June of 2024, another positive test, and the end of our journey to meet our daughter. August of 2024, a call from DCS and our daughter Charlotte, an undeserved double portion, born 9 months after that December dream. My prayer today is for those in the waiting. God has not forgotten you, even if the answer is no. He's grieving with you. His love for you is no less, nor is he withholding a blessing. But your pouring out is your act of worship. And my prayer for those in the quote-unquote trenches, God has not forgotten you. Even in the sleepless exhaustion that seems to be all-consuming, your pouring out is also your act of worship. Thank you.
Thank you, Abby. Again, you're right about how Mother's Day comes together, how it works every year. And again, I'm just so thankful for moms who are willing to give the testimonies of their hearts. So thank you, Abby, for doing that. So I'm going to ask Miss Michaela if she would please come forward.
Hi. The desire for motherhood has been affecting my decisions since I was a child. In a In a season of life when I was skeptical about God, the thought of raising my own children kept me away from certain troubles. To be a mom is something I have always wanted and have been preparing for, but there have been obstacles that made me wonder if it would ever happen. Breaking my spine and pelvis in high school, signs of fertility problems, wounded trust, and it taking forever to meet David. After so many years of waiting and praying and struggling to hope, it is surreal that it is actually happening, that I am a mom now. And perhaps sleep deprivation contributes to this surreal feeling as well. In reflecting on what to share today, because there's a lot, my mind was drawn to the late night hours in Andre's first few months of life. He was crying, I was sometimes crying, but it was in those moments that I was really stretched to surrender him and myself to the Lord. My limitations and helplessness were so apparent, but I knew we had a God who cared about us and would be with us, navigating through the discomfort and sleeplessness. I cried out for wisdom, for peace, for perseverance. I sang songs of surrender and praise. I almost asked that, Lord, I need you be sung today, but it was, so grateful for that. That's been a common song in the nights. I received strength to keep going. We're still up a lot in the nights, but there is significantly more peace. It was also in those late night hours that I contemplated the humanity of Jesus, imagining the hours Mary spent with him in the middle of the night. Throughout my life, I've reflected on Jesus coming as a baby, living among us, suffering for us, and it has been powerful. But the experience of being a mother has naturally impacted my perspective. I find myself more struck by certain aspects of Jesus: his vulnerability, his dependency, his belovedness. It has deepened for me the mystery of his coming in this way, in simplicity. He had to wake in the middle of the night to nurse. He had to go through teething. He did not skip being parented. It is also hitting me harder that God gave his only son for my sake and yours. I cannot imagine making such a sacrifice. But even more so, I cannot imagine a life without this truth, a life without mercy, peace, joy, and hope. Motherhood has been such a gift to me. It is draining, quite literally, but it is allowing me to present my body as a living sacrifice in a way I never could have imagined. I am grateful for the opportunity it has given me to more deeply surrender my energy and my time. I am grateful for all of the healing of body and mind that took place in my long season of waiting that made this reality possible. I am grateful I'm not walking the journey of parenthood alone. I am grateful for the opportunity to carry this little boy into the world and witness the joy he is already sharing with so many people. I am being filled so much more than I am being drained. Thanks.
Wow. Thank you, Michaela, for sharing. I love that you're being filled even more than you're being drained. What a testimony. Thank you for being such a great example of being a Christian mother. You're doing a great job. Thank you. And then I would ask Tina, if you would please come forward.
Public speaking is not my thing. You hear me? Okay. My first real job, aside from having a paper route and doing babysitting, was at the Jupiter Courier-Journal. I was 15 at the time, and I might have conveniently forgotten to mention that minor detail when I got hired. I started out in the wrapping department, not like, but wrapping papers. But eventually I moved to the press room where they ran all kinds of newspapers and various jobs and inserts. But when it comes to formal job interviews, I don't remember having one until after I graduated nursing school. Back then, when you were job hunting, you looked in the want ads in the newspaper. I don't know if everybody knows a newspaper, and you used to look for those want ads in there. You don't do that anymore. And it meant sending in resumes, which, let's be honest, was hard to write, especially when you're first starting out. You had to try to think of something to put on there because you didn't have a whole lot of experience. So you did your best to make it look good. Well, this morning, moms, I'd like you to imagine stumbling across a job posting that reads, job opening, amazing pay and benefits, regular promotions, flexible work from home options, no education or experience required. Sounds pretty tempting, doesn't it? So you apply, and to your surprise, you're called in for an interview. You arrive early, determined to make a really good impression. That's important, right? Get there early, dress nice. And when you're ushered in, you meet the friendliest HR person, Melinda. Yeah. She greets you with a warm smile, offers you a cozy chair, brings you a cookie and a nice cup of coffee. Isn't that the way that works? There we go. And Melinda starts explaining, the great news for you is that this is an entry-level position, no experience necessary. And the benefits, they are incredible. I put together a list, and she hands you this enormous long scroll of a list of benefits. You can review those later, she says. You think, this sounds almost too good to be true. Then she says, this job is deeply rewarding. I see on your slightly padded resume that you're passionate about making a difference. Well, this is the perfect opportunity, and you're good at decision making, right? You'll need that. This job calls for that every day. And you're leaning in now. This just keeps getting better. She pauses. Do you have any questions? You swallow hard. Well, what exactly will I be doing? Oh, right, she laughs. You'll be assigned a client, one chosen just for you. You'll be a perfect match, mostly. She glances at your resume again. I see you speak English. Well, your client won't at first, but don't worry. They'll communicate just fine. Through tears, giggles, wails, and pointing, and eventually they'll learn your language. But even then, I'll warn you, there will be times when they'll forget what words mean or act like they don't understand. Seeing your confusion, she leans in conspiratorially. Here's a little secret, and you might want to write this down. When that happens, just calmly ask, which part of what I said didn't you understand? That usually does the trick and solves the problem. You nod slowly. Okay, but what will I actually do for the client? Oh, everything, she says cheerfully. At first, they'll depend on you for every single thing, and you'll be making about 3,762 decisions a day on a slow day. Your eyes widen. That many? She laughs. Oh, yes. Some decisions will seem small, like food and wardrobe choices. Others will be life and death. And sometimes those wardrobe and food choices, they will seem like life and death to your client. So you're starting to wonder what you may be getting yourself into. So still no experience required, you ask skeptically? None, she beams. In fact, too much preparation just makes people overthink things. This is all on-the-job training, hands-on, immersive, and according to your resume, that's how you learn best. So you press on. What about the hours, you ask? Oh, they're flexible, she chirps. You'll just be on call 24 hours a day. You stare. How many days a week? All of them, she grins. But don't worry, you can sleep on the job. Sometimes. If your client is asleep and you've managed to finish everything else and maybe even squeezed in a shower, you're welcome to a rest. Just a heads up though, finding coverage for the night shift, that can be a challenge. But don't worry, that part does get easier after a few years. Wait, what did you say? Years? Oh yes, she says brightly, but the job security is unbeatable and there's constant room for growth and promotion. She then casually mentions something about a lifetime contract, but she says it so quietly that you don't even register it at first. At the end of the interview, she stands, offers you the job, and congratulates you. You thank her, still wondering why she's so confident in you. And as you're about to leave, she adds gently, oh, and one last thing, you don't have what it takes, but don't worry, no one does. That's not really the way that you want to leave a job interview, right? But moms, isn't it the truth? I was talking to a friend recently whose daughter-in-law is expecting in just a few weeks, and her daughter-in-law was telling her, I feel so unprepared. And my friend and I kind of chuckled as we were talking on the phone to each other about, yeah, when you leave with that baby, it's like you want to tell the people handing you the baby as you're going home, you do know I don't know what I'm doing, right? You know I've never done this before. I'm responsible for this tiny, helpless being. And that's when it really hits you. This is a job for which no one ever really feels fully qualified. But here's the really good news. Jesus has already provided everything that we need. If we walk in him, we will have what it takes. Scripture is full of stories of moms who face impossible situations, but by faith, they called on the Lord, and he provided exactly what was needed, exactly when it was needed. Sometimes God's ways are unconventional as floating a baby in a basket on an aisle. Just ask a mother named Jochebed. She was Moses' mother. He was born in as difficult of a time and place as any of us can imagine. Yet she was not alone. She hid her baby boy from Pharaoh's murderous decree, and when she could hide him no longer, she placed him in a basket on the Nile. God rescued that child and used him to lead an entire nation to freedom. The widow of Zarephath, facing certain death during a famine, obeyed God by sharing her very last meal with a prophet, which she had told him, when I finish doing this, we're going to eat, and then we're going to die, because she knew it was the last bit of resource that she had. And the Lord miraculously provided for her and her son, just as he promised. If you remember, he multiplied that flour and oil just like he promised until the famine was over. Eunice, the mother of Timothy, raised her son to know and love the Lord, preparing him for a ministry in a spiritually hostile world. Her faith and the faith of her mother, Lois, shaped him into a devoted disciple. Moms, you and I will face impossible moments too. Sometimes they're big and dramatic. Sometimes they're quiet and unseen. But whatever we face, we can rest in this. Everything we need is found in Christ. When you're overwhelmed, when you're out of strength and out of answers, that's okay. In fact, it's better than okay, because that's where grace shines the brightest. And beyond that, we have each other. Scripture tells us and calls the older women to teach and encourage the younger. And that doesn't just apply to motherhood, it applies to life. So today, and it's not just for mothers, it's for all of us, life is more than what we can do on our own. If you know Christ, keep seeking him. He's everything you need. Pray for your children. Ask for wisdom and strength. And if you don't know him yet, I implore you, there's no better time than today. He's waiting with open arms to lead you, strengthen you, and walk with you through every challenge that life brings. Motherhood is a blessing. The benefits are amazing, but it's not easy. Be encouraged, moms. You don't walk this road alone. Your Savior has exactly what you need. Keep humbling yourself before him. Keep asking and know that he is more than able.
Hang on, this one doesn't go. Oh, hello. A little different than my one at work. Okay. I love that. Although I've never given cookies and milk, I have never chirped a job offer. But not only did I get a great message about motherhood, I got some tips on how to hire people. So if you're looking for a job, oh goodness. I have all sorts of tools to play with. Okay. So I want to talk about, goes a little bit with what Tina said, maybe a little, is I want to talk about no effort is wasted. And a faithful, trusting mother. So moms, I don't know if you can relate to this or not, but have you ever doubted? Have you ever doubted anything? Are you doubters? I'm a doubter. We can doubt, are we ready for this? We doubt if our child is listening. We doubt our looks. We doubt our abilities. We doubt our parenting skills. And we question, am I doing enough? Am I being a good mom? It happens. So I think moms, if we're honest, we have it in common with each other. Our minds are amazing, but they're overactive at times. I remember Martin and I talking one time, and he looked at me and he said, "What are you thinking about?" And I shared with him what I was thinking about. And the look on his face was comical because he's like, "Are you really thinking all of that right now?" And it's like, there's more. Yes, I'm not just sitting here being quiet. My mind does not stop. And I amazed him with that. And I think as mothers, we can have that in common. So I read, and I think this is really interesting. In fairness, especially to our new moms, I read that a mother's brain shrinks during pregnancy. It will grow back to its normal size within 6 months of giving birth. And then I started looking into it a little bit more, and there's more. Our brains change for motherhood. There's a crucial area in the brain that prepares itself for processing emotions, such as fear and anxiety, and it increases after motherhood. The brain eliminates unnecessary neural connections to help us be efficient and adaptable to new demands. It's happening. Sometimes, hey, you works fine. It works. Then the other thing. It is shrinking, that's right. See, Chris, her brain is shrinking. It also, I read a study where it compared brains of women who had recently given birth, and they had such pronounced changes in their brains that the computer algorithm could separate new moms from those who had never given birth. That's amazing. And so you think about what our bodies go through to grow a child, how God prepares us for motherhood in ways that we don't even think about. And I think even with all this preparation that our bodies go through and the joy that our children bring us, I think we can still have doubts. There's mom failures. I failed as a mom. I remember my mother I was a young age. I was probably, I'm going to say maybe 4. And we were sitting down at the table and we were having vegetable soup. Mom put all the bowls out and she just happened to knock the bowl of hot soup in my lap. And I remember my mom grabbing me as a child and running me to the kitchen sink and just pouring cold water over me.
Now, I have no scars. I'm not afraid of vegetable soup. There's nothing that happened, but that plagued my mom. And that stayed with my mom a long time. And into my adulthood, she still felt bad that she'd burn me with vegetable soup. So, Mom, we sometimes hang on to those failures that really aren't failures. It's just life. I have a friend that recently shared with me her life a little bit. I knew a little bit about her life, but I don't know a lot about her life. Her family situation for her parents, sisters, she doesn't share a lot. And she's very sensitive that she doesn't have a normal traditional family unit. And we were driving back together from someplace, and she was just mentioning that she has never been nurtured in her life. She has no idea really how to be a mother. Now, she has 2 children, and she has 2 stepchildren, and I've seen the examples of how she is a mom. I've seen how she loves her children. And she opened up and she shared with me that she never had not only a mom, but a dad, no parents that ever encouraged her. They never attended school events. They never praised her for getting a good grade. They forgot her birthday. And she specifically remembers her 12th birthday, waiting all day for someone to acknowledge that it was her birthday. And this woman is, she's 51 years old. And it still shapes her today. She left home at age 15, which I didn't know. Went from Georgia to California. And I didn't probe as to how she found these people, but she lived with some friends. And as frequently can sometimes happen, she got pregnant at 16. And she was not a good mom to her daughter. Her daughter is now 31 years old. They have a really good relationship, but she only focuses on the failures of the ways that she did wrong raising this child. She now has another child, he's 12, and she is an amazing mom and is really trying hard to be the best mom that she can, but she doesn't see it. She misses having a nurturing mom, and she is still searching for people in her life to nurture her. So moms that are nurturers, what you do matters. It shapes us as people. And if you didn't have a nurturing mom in your life, I am telling you right now, I have the capacity to love you, as do most moms in this room. We will love you and we will nurture you because it's important, no matter how old you are. Also, as I went down the brain chemistry track, I looked that hugging your child can reduce their stress. Just hugging your child. So moms, on the days when you think you're not getting it right, and the days that maybe everything's a failure, hug your child. Not only is it going to reduce their stress, but my guess is it reduces your stress too. Hug your child. That's your superpower. You get to hug your child. I think that's amazing. So God sees what you're doing. No effort is wasted. He sees what you're doing. He sees those of you who maybe aren't a mom yet, or are maybe struggling with being a mom. He sees that you engage with the littles around you. That matters. You're nurturing other people's children, and that matters, and God sees it. Moms, you miss sleep, you miss meals, you sacrifice, but you pray and you encourage and you're there, and it matters. And it's not only just moms, it's grandmas, it's great grandmas, and it's great great grandmas. That's right, which is amazing. I love it. So God is seeing your faithfulness even in the unnoticed things. So I have a slide that hopefully, okay, there we go. I asked around to people that attend this church, and I asked several of you to give me some words that describe your moms. So I put those together, and I couldn't get all of them up there because I had a lot of words. So I just want you to hear some of the words that others are using to describe moms. Loving, kind, hardworking, patient, practical, brave, giving, hero, servant, empathetic, wise, relentless, passionate, good listener, spunky was one of my favorites, nurturing, determined, selfless, brilliant, compassionate. Moms, those are words directly from people in this room to describe you. So when you think that maybe you are not doing the best that you can do, when you have the doubts, these are words that described mothers. Now, one of my favorite that Katie gave me too for about her grandma was a baby hogger. And let me tell you, I loved it because I openly admit I have the joy of being a baby hogger, and I want a t-shirt that says it, and I just love it. So it's so great. I mentioned this morning Charlotte is now crawling, and that does my heart so good because she crawled to me today. I'll take it. I love it. It was so good. But moms, listen to those words. Those are amazing, amazing words. I didn't pay anybody. They all just said them. So they're so, so good. I want us to remember Galatians 6:9. It says, "Let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." There's no way to be a perfect mother, but there's a million ways to be a good one. So I want to share with you some thoughts that moms might think. Don't know if you've had these, but maybe. Questions, things that are in your mind. Have I enjoyed you enough? Have I given you what you needed? Am I spending enough time with you? Do I recognize that sometimes I get it and that sometimes I don't and I need to change? Sometimes I do it right and sometimes I completely miss it. I mess up. Sometimes fear takes over and I can't seem to think of anything else. I forget to relax and enjoy you. I forget to be still. I remember the bad and forget the positive. And as I was writing those, I was thinking, not only does that apply to moms, but that applies to us as Christians too. Am I spending enough time with you, God? Have I enjoyed you enough? Sometimes I do it right. Sometimes I completely mess it up. But God is gracious to me. He's gracious to you if you seek him. Sometimes I let the fear take over, and I can't think of anything else. I had the opportunity this week to talk to a family member who's going through a hard time. She's not a believer. She has been around me, obviously, my whole life, her whole life. Not my whole life, her whole life. See, sometimes I mess up. But she doesn't really know who God is. She has never taken that step to learn who he is. And she's going through some real struggles right now. She's had a life of some struggles. And I'm talking to her on Friday, and she's very, very upset. And she said to me, she said, I don't understand this Christian thing. I don't understand it. And she was angry. And she said, you get it. You've lived it. Your life is easy because of it. And she just kept saying, she said, I was telling a friend a couple weeks ago that your struggles aren't big. Your struggles are nothing because you're a Christian. And I stopped and I said right then and there, it's like, let me tell you some of my real struggles. I have a lot. The ladies in the discipleship group, you have been such a blessing to me through this discipleship group because I've been able to openly share with you some of the struggles that I face. And I shared with her the struggles that I'm facing. And I reminded her that God doesn't make my struggles go away, but I'm never alone in my struggle. I have someone who is with me, and I shared with her a couple times that I have been so distraught in my life that I wasn't functioning. I remember a time after my second sister died, I couldn't function. I've never been a place in my life where I looked forward and I saw black. And I didn't know what that black meant, but I knew I didn't want to go there. Keep in mind, for me, I had lost my mom already. I had lost my oldest sister, and then I just lost this sister who was not a believer, who I had just started a mission with my brother to say, let's let her know she's loved. Let's let her know that she has worth in this life. And we each took a week, and I said, for each of us, 1 week, we are calling her, we are engaging with her, and we are not talking about the things that maybe she's not doing right. My sister was a very bad drug addict. She wasn't living the right life, but she had value. She was worthy, and we committed to loving her. I got to week 2, and she died. I didn't make it to my 3rd week of telling her that I loved her. My sister died of a drug overdose. And I had such a moment in my life at that time. And I don't know if you've ever can relate, but there was blackness in front of me. And I didn't know what to do with that blackness. I just knew I couldn't go to it. My husband came to me. I was sobbing, laying in bed. I couldn't function. I didn't even know I was going here. It's not in my notes. But he came to me and he prayed over me. And when he prayed, the peace of God came into my heart right then. The reaction that I was having where I couldn't function, you guys, when I say I couldn't function, I couldn't breathe. And again, all I saw was black. God came into that moment right then and calmed my body. So when I hear, as a Christian, you go through struggles and they're not the same, let me tell you, struggles are the same, but I was not alone, and you're not alone. We have a God that loves us, who cares about our struggles, who cares about our weaknesses, who cares when all we see is black in front of us. He sees everything that we do, and he knows it, and he loves us. I want that. I have that, and I'm thankful for that. And if anybody wants to talk about that, I'll talk with you about it too, because it's amazing love that God has. And I'm thankful for him. And so I'm thankful that I had that opportunity to share with this family member that it's not over. We have somebody who helps us through these struggles, and we're never alone. And I'm so thankful for that. So I go back to, don't dwell on the negative. Remember his mercy. Ask him for his mercy. He wants to hear from you. I go back to, are you spending enough time with him? If you're not, do better. Do better. If you didn't yesterday, do it today. If you don't do it today, I hope you do it soon. It matters. Be still before him. That matters. Spend some time with him. He already knows what you're going through. You know, and if you think about last year, I mentioned we were moms last year, some of us, and we're here this year. He already knew what was going to happen in that entire year. He knew. And you know what? He knows what's going to happen this year and next year. He's got a plan for our lives. Have you given him enough? That's a self-reflective question, but have you given him enough? If not, try to give him more. Give him more. We can't do it on our own. We're not alone. We have a Savior. And this is going the wrong way. No effort is wasted. You've got it. I asked Wesley if he would play a song. I want to play a song. I'm a music person. I love songs. I would pray that the Lord will restore my voice completely someday so I can belt them out and sing them again, because I love to sing when I'm getting ready, especially Sunday morning. I have a playlist on my Spotify that is my Sunday morning worship, and I am worshiping every Sunday morning while I'm getting ready. I love music. I thank my brother for it years ago. I can't even remember the age. I was an early teenager. He gave me a Twyla Paris cassette tape, and I played that thing so many times. It's called The Warrior is a Child. And I played it so many times that that cassette tape wore out. And I thanked him recently. My brother instilled music in me and listening to music. Worship music is amazing. Find somebody that you can listen to and do. If you don't know how to worship, start with a song. It's amazing. My recommendation lately is Stephen McWhorter. If you've ever heard of Stephen McWhorter, he has got amazing messages in his songs. And if you don't know how to worship, sit and listen to that. So this one is called You Say by Lauren Dangle, and I'd like for you to listen to this song.